Two different opinions on Turkish entry to the EU. Jacques Toubon opposes Turkey joining. Michel Rocard supports its future membership. The two French members of the European Parliament were happy to debate the issue for EuroNews a fortnight ahead of the European Commission's annual report of candidate countries. The French government is against Turkish entry. Some say recent events justify this position. French views on Turkey in Agora.
It's clear that, for example, calling back the Turkish ambassador from Washington because the Foreign Affairs Committee of the House of Representatives voted to recognize the Armenian genocide, that clearly means a refusal to look at its history. Threats to Iraqi Kurdistan, the continuation today of a certain number of trials, shall we say, for crimes of opinion. It's a situation that, for me, doesn't really show a great deal of progress. In a sense, it's even a step back for what I'd call Turkey's international standing.
Quite true. I agree completely. The important word in what you've just said is today, because all that is true. Turkey does not have a democratic tradition. It's afflicted like certain other countries, like the United States, like Israel, which have a fixation on the army and on excessive force compared to what we expect from the use of force to resolve problems. I don't believe in militarily parachuting democracy into Iraq. Neither do I believe in clearing up the Kurdish problem by force. So we're agreed. Still, Turkey is a very important country. It's one of the first Muslim countries to try its hand at secularism. It's threatened, fragile, but defended energetically. And the position it's taken since the start of the Middle East conflict is balanced and fair, like that of a referee, and it's very important for the future. What's more, there are next to Turkey 5 oil-producing ex-Soviet republics where Turkish is spoken. They're divided between 3 influences: a dangerous, brutal, radical Islamist influence, a mafia influence, slightly corrupt, vodka drinking, that of an inherited system, and then there is the Turkish influence. If we slam the door on Turkey, the Turkish influence will translate as anti-European xenophobia, and that would be terrible for the future. Therefore, we need to help Turkey out.
I'd just like to say 2 things about that. Turkey has played the role of regional power, the top regional power around the Black Sea, the Middle East and the Caucasus. But I don't believe that it will be able to do that if it's in the European Union. But it could if it were a privileged partner. And the other consideration is that we were speaking about points of worry. I think that its domestic evolution, the constitutional evolution that came out of the very convincing, and it must be said, very democratic victory of the AK party, well, this victory, which brings behind it constitutional change, worries me. Because it's like trying to damage the principles of secularism. For example, the election of a president by popular vote. Isn't that just a way of getting rid of the shackles of secularism that are preventing the Republic from becoming more Islamist?
I'm worried about the slowdown in reforms by Prime Minister Erdogan. 4 or 5 years ago, he was passing considerable legislation packages every 6 months, like abolishing the death penalty, forbidding torture by the police. Now it's very slow. That's not to say it won't pick up speed again, because the same forces are still at work. What Erdogan and Gül, the current president, are saying is, we want to make Muslim Democrats, just like there are Christian Democrats, in the image of the German CDU. It's a worthy model. I think democratic forces are capitalist forces, they're economic forces. And then there's the great intellectual community. Meeting Turkish intellectuals, you feel like you're in Europe. Really, they're brought up like us.
I know some people in cinema, and I agree entirely.
Also, the idea of membership creates a good deal of foreign investment in Turkey. It helps that investment and it strengthens the political forces that follow common sense and that can, in time, become a majority. If we close this door, we're stifling these political forces and we're not allowing the mechanism to work. We'd be sending Turkey back in time.
We're undergoing a process where we want to attract Turkey towards us and our democratic values, which is a good thing. At the same time, we're trying to do business with Turkey, which is also a good thing for Turkey and for us. But quite frankly, I feel that many people have a hypocritical position on Turkey. It's in this sense that I find the position of someone like President Sarkozy or our position here in the Parliament, as members of his party, the UMP, it's a clear position. We don't think Turkey should join the European Union. That doesn't seem to us to fit in with our political project for Europe, and we think it should be in some sort of position of partnership. And there are a certain number of consequences, for example, not opening up some chapters of negotiation linked to membership itself, monetary union with the euro, regional policy, things like that. I think it's a clearer position. And from what he's told us, that's what President Sarkozy has said to Erdogan.
We're faced with a double global threat. One, the formidable rise of China and India, for which other countries need a common response. And secondly, the crisis in the American finance system. I don't believe the American credit crisis is a small one-off phenomenon. I think it's the warning sign of a more general crisis. That country's grown up on debt. I believe we're headed for an extremely difficult 4 or 5 years, where the European answer will provide an alternative. And there, Turkey will be by our side.
I'll say it like this. In the same way that Europe was created to face up to the Soviet Union during the Cold War, I think today that it's in globalization with its pros and cons that Europe will find the basis of its personality and its project.
Que l'Europe peut trouver en quelque sorte le levier de sa personnalité et de son projet.
And with Turkey comes the Muslim world, and that's what counts. I recognise that there's reluctance in Turkey as well as in Europe, and that's a shame. The intelligent way would be to all manage to work together, because Turkish interests will not be pro-American. They'll be on our side. That could come into it, but it won't be easy.
C'est une question qui mérite d'être posée aujourd'hui.
Absolument.